Hello and welcome to your Northern Hemisphere Tropical Outlook. Right now, the Western Pacific is very active, and we have the remnants of Genevieve. And we're going to be looking at the long range, so let's get started. Today is August 2nd, 2026. First of all, we're going to start out with our biggest threat, which is Category 4, Typhoon Dolphin. And this one is expected to head west toward the southern Japanese islands, and there is high uncertainty, and it could take two different paths. And one of the paths is even more uncertain, so I'm going to break all of that down as well. Also down here to the south, we have Tropical Depression Luis, which right now is over the island of Luzon. This one will continue to the west for a little bit longer, and then it is expected to pull out to the northeast, getting kind of sucked up by ginormous Typhoon Dolphin. Here's kind of how it's going to work. This one's going to move to the west, and this one is expected to move to the east. Alright, here is our two different situations with this storm here. Alright, we have the AIGFS model. This one is still locked on what we are mostly looking at yesterday and the day before this situation, which would take it generally west, and it would move it somewhere close to the southern Japanese islands. I think Okinawa is still a big threat here. And it continues to move it west, maybe even a little bit further to the south, moving a little bit slow, and it makes a landfall in China. This is the European AI model, and this shows a completely different situation. So here's Luis, and here is Dolphin. Alright, Luis moves in. It's already over there. And then it will, for sure, just kind of be pulled up right into it, whatever remains of it. And Dolphin here is going to move in with an even larger size than we have right now, and is still likely to have heavy impacts on Okinawa and those other southern Japanese islands there. But the difference here is this one takes a longer time to hover there, and then a front is allowed to carry it up to the north. This one particular model run takes it right up into South Korea, but it really could go up anywhere from paralleling China to over Japan. That's generally the range I have seen. And even a bigger picture on the uncertainty that we have the ensemble from the Google Weather Lab AI model, and it generally shows, again, Tropical Depression Luis continuing to the west. It'll maybe pass Luzon, then get kind of turned out and dissipate. It's going to be very short-lived. And here's Dolphin. We have most of our things. It is going to weaken on its way, so it'll be Cat 2, Cat 3 intensity. And really, the fast ones will move into China. But if it takes a longer time here, it is going to move more to the north. And right now, the average takes it up just east of China, up toward like way north part of the Yellow Sea. We'll see if that actually happens. And again, some of our ensembles do take it all the way over toward southern Japan, all the way over here. So what can we take away from this when it comes to Dolphin today? We can see that islands like Miami Daito, the Daito Islands out here, are going to be the biggest threat right now. It'll pass south of Ogasawara, so no real big impacts there. They'll be pretty weak. And then it will end up slowing down around Okinawa. This is probably the most worrying situation, actually. It might not be as strong as over here near Minam Daito, but closer to Okinawa, the further up these islands here, these could be heavier impacts. And again, we do not want this thing to slow down right over Okinawa, because that would just longer last the impacts. I know you guys are prepped for this, but it is not good situation right now. But what we are hoping is that it actually does make this path and doesn't actually move super slow like it is showing. That's just the hope right now. And we're hoping for this north turn to help it weaken a little bit as it moves its way to the north. Because at this point, a direct hit to North Taiwan would not be a good scenario, even just north of Taiwan. And then we'd have to watch China, which would get the heaviest impacts if it would take that path. Now, one last thing with the Western Pacific. Do we have any other long-range areas to watch? Yes, we actually do. We have this area in a very western South China Sea. This would be west of Hainan. We're watching for some development, and that could also be pulled toward Dolphin as well. And behind this, we are going to watch a different kind of a setup. These systems, we're going to be watching more of our monsoon gyre-like situation here, where we could have a bunch of weaker storms form on top of it. And our first one to watch will develop out here toward Wake Island and move in a direction of Japan, more like the northern or eastern end of Japan, but it is likely to stay weak. Here's actually a good output from the AIGFS on what this could look like. We are going to watch something weak spin up somewhere around here, and we're going to continue have these like areas of rain span very large areas. This is going to be our monsoon gyre-like setup, all right? And it is expected to produce some weird formations, some weak formations, could cause some odd tracks as well. But of course, our first one could definitely be a threat to Japan, but it is still too far out to watch. And again, it might not actually hit Japan. It could just be taken out to sea, like our Google AI model and this one are showing. And we still have some other areas to watch with this monsoon gyre setup beyond that. Moving back over here to the Eastern Pacific, we have Tropical Storm Genevieve, which is expected to become a depression and die out very quickly soon. It's not expected to impact anyone, but we do have a couple other signals, one of which does show a couple ensembles making their way up toward the Baja California Peninsula. At this point, it's just too far out to tell. Most of the ensembles still take it mainly out to sea. Also, we're going to be watching for Hawaii yet again out here in the Central Pacific, as we might have another storm that could get close. Meanwhile, there's not much going on in the Atlantic. For a couple days, we did have a signal maybe off the East Coast, but it has really calmed down. Not even the Google Weather Lab model is really picking up on it. I think our first signal to watch, just hear me out, we have 3 ensembles on this same tropical wave, so I think this is going to be our first thing to watch in the Atlantic for August. And this is all the way out Friday, August 14th. So I will be tracking this signal and many others to come. Alright, that is all I have to say today. I will see you again tomorrow and much more later this week.